SEO is like, what is it people searching for? Let's make sure we're at the top. But I think SEO lost sight of the driver. How do we get someone to want something in the first place? So essentially what we do is we create demand and we capture it. Simple. That's it. It's so simple. And I think, that's what made us win. I think that's what's made us grow in the last 4 years.
Hello and welcome to Confessions of a B2B Entrepreneur. And today we have a big episode. We have Carrie Rose, who's the founder and CEO of Rise at 7, which is a search-first creative agency that has blown up over the past 4 years, completely bootstrapped. Well, not completely, and we find out more about that at the start of the episode. But we talk about the concept and the positioning of the agency. We talk about Carrie's role, and then we talk about the role that Carrie's personal brand has played in the growth of a company. If you are in the marketing world, if you are considering starting a marketing agency, this is a must listen. Before we jump into that, big shout out to Fame, who is the company that produced this show. If you're a B2B company and want a show like this, probably better than this actually, then go to fame.so, request a proposal, and say that Tom sent you. Let's jump into this episode with Carrie right now. Carrie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello.
When I was doing my research and I was writing a potential title for this episode, I was saying Carrie Rose has built one of the most awesome UK bootstrapped marketing agencies in roughly 4 years. Amazing achievement. My question is, are you actually bootstrapped?
No, technically not. So basically, when I decided to start this agency, I had a client already. So this was somebody I've worked with for many years who has said, if you ever start a business, you need to tell me. I want to be the first to know about it because I'll invest in you. I'll give you the money. But anyway, he gave me, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but I'll say, he gave me 80 grand and he basically invested that into the business. And within a few months, I paid him back. We paid him back really fast. And I remember the moment he was like, yeah, well, thanks for paying me back because we was making great money, but I still own, it wasn't a massive percentage, but he owned a percentage in the business. I was like, oh, is that how it works? I had no idea how it worked. So yeah, I did have a bit of investment in the early days. We paid him back really, really fast. And then we've actually bought him out now. So that happened about a year and a half ago, something like that.
I assume that cost you a bit more than the 80 grand when you had to buy him out.
Yeah, well, I fast realized, wait, his shares is getting more valuable and more valuable and more valuable. And I don't know if anybody follows me on social media, but I went for a management buyout in November, not last year, but the year before. Basically, I started the business with a guy called Stephen Kenwright, amazing guy. And I went through the management buyout of him and the original investor. So yeah, it weren't cheap.
And that's actually one of the first things. So in this episode, we're going to talk a lot about Rise at 7, which is the agency we're talking about, and then also about your personal brand. But before that, I just want to talk about like the pre-Rise at 7 days, because it fascinates me how people can come along and then build amazing things.
Yeah.
So my question is, what do you think that person saw in you for him to say, I think it was him, right? To say, if you start any business, I want to give you money. What do you think he saw?
Do you know what? If I boil it down like what it is, even though I did not own any percentage of his business, I was a 21-year-old person that worked in an SEO agency, figuring life out. I treat his business like it was my own. And that's what he saw in me. He was like, you care about the growth of my... And I did. Like, I was just on his account. He had an account team at the agency I used to work at. It was about 6 or 7 people. And I was just one of the juniors on it. But I was obsessed with his business. And I was like, we could do this, we could do that. I'd call him up on a weekend and I would suggest new ideas. And every time we did something together, he always saw the return. And I think he saw I cared about his business just as much as he did. And I think there's often this thing on LinkedIn that don't ever expect people to care about your business as much as you do. That's the disappointing, heartbreaking thing about an entrepreneur. You're never going to find people that care about your business as much as you do. I don't think that's true. I think when you do find them, I think they're really worth investing in. And that's clearly what he saw. And I think for me, I get excited about whether it's my business or somebody else's. If I really believe in something, I can get super excited and super driven to kind of like show growth. Like, I don't want to work for Netflix. I want to build the next one. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that I think he saw in me. So yeah, I think that's what it might have boiled down to.
And I assume you probably have a few young Carries in the business right now. And we're going to talk about culture later in this episode.
Yeah, they call them A players, right? That's kind of what it is. It's like, how do you find them?
The A players. And so you spent, I think it was about 4 years at maybe this agency we're discussing, and then 8 months at another one. And then what made so you obviously like built expertise, probably learned a bit about agency life. What was the switch or the trigger that made you start Rise at 7?
My God, that's a really tough question. I don't actually know. There was a buildup of a couple of things. So at the time, the agency that I was working at, they sold. I went through that journey of seeing that agency sell. And it was really interesting for me to learn. And I was that type of person, to be honest. I was young and I was energetic, and I would sit in every team on every table trying to figure out, what do you guys do then? So even finance teams, HR teams, project managers, SEO teams, developers, I'd always sit next to them trying to figure out, what do you do then? And why, how does a business all work together? And I think when the agency sold, I think it was time. I felt confident that I, number one, had enough ability in my own skill set to be able to do something for myself. But the thing I spent most of my time doing during those 8 years of working in another agency is learning how to sell. And I think that's what I got really good at. I sat with a sales team quite a lot. And Stephen Kenwright, the guy that I founded Rise at 7 with, he mostly ran sales. And he, funny enough, he spotted, I think, that I was good at sales. And he basically said, do you want to come to a pitch with me? And I was like, wow, I get to go to a pitch with you. That would be amazing. And I remember I was going to these pitches and we won every single one we went to. And I think that was the push for me of, I was building a lot of revenue for this business and I loved that for them. I was really behind the CEO. I loved the company, but I could do this for myself. That's what I realized. And I knew it was a lot of money as well. Like I remember walking in and taking home like nearly £1 million account. So I was like, oh, I'm only on like 30 grand a year. I could do this myself.
And you must have been like 26 at that point, right?
Yeah. So I started Rise when I was 25, 26. I was just turned 26. So I'd spent 8 years building my experience up. I became a senior strategist, essentially. I was very good at strategy, won awards for my work. I was running some big accounts. So my babies were Confused.com and Labrooks. Weirdly, I've never done gambling and I don't know a lot about insurance, but I seem to be great at marketing them. But I do think I learned a lot by marketing really tough industries. So I spent most of my years doing that and then basically started my own.
Let's talk about marketing Rise at 7, because I think maybe the first thing I saw about the agency was the positioning, which I think is genius. It's genius, isn't it? And so if anybody listening, search first creative agency. Now, can you just explain this?
Yes, I will. I'll give some back history, I guess, what I've always thought. So when I went with Stephen Kenwright into businesses, so I would go into Go Compare, I'd go into some big fashion brands or beauty or finance, whatever it is. I'd always see this table. And around this table was the marketing team. And often there was a performance person, there was brand or PR person, there was an influencer and social, and then there was the SEO or maybe even the email and CRM. And do you know who always had the least say? It was nearly always the SEO team. The SEO person sat in the corner, keeping quiet. They usually had the least say around that table. And I thought that was mental. I thought it was absolutely crazy. And the reason I thought it was crazy is because I've always seen advertising, the big fancy stuff, the TV adverts, the billboards, the brand campaigns, things like that. I think they put brands and products in front of people, not actually knowing if that's what people want. But the SEO team, they know exactly what people want. Why? Because they're telling us customers are literally putting it into Google every single minute of every single day. So the SEO team has data. They have insight about people that none of us know. Even the social media teams. The social media teams, they think they know their customers, right? Based on the hashtags they use, the trending sounds, or the products that they're tagging and brands they're tagging. I don't think social data is actually that accurate. I think we portray ourselves and identity about ourselves on social media. But search on social is even better because people that are searching skincare problems or they're looking to lose weight, search tells us the secrets that people don't put out on social media. So I think search data and marketing should be driven by search. And obviously I do everything creative. One of the things I noticed 5 years ago is that there's mad money going into TV advertising, influencer marketing, big brand activations, generating search demand that people just don't even rank for. I'll give you an example. Zara, they did a mad influencer campaign, must have spent thousands on it, hundreds and thousands, got all these influencers to wear a pair of pink jeans essentially. And one thing they didn't realize is searches on Google for pink jeans, because I even Googled it and I've never worn a pair of pink jeans, but I wanted one because I saw this Zara campaign. So searches on Google went up 210% for pink jeans. But if you Googled at the time, pink jeans, and I think still if you Google it today, Zara nowhere to be seen. So I was like, what? They're spending mad money on influencer marketing, on above the line and all this stuff on pink jeans and they just don't appear on Google. And I thought that was mental. So I thought it was time to create an agency which combined creative advertising and SEO for the first time and actually make search first the thing. And as a result of that, That's why we won a client every Monday. I remember the first 2 years of Rise at 7, it was the most craziest time of my life. Every single Monday we won a client. We actually won Xbox and PlayStation on the same day, which is weird because usually they have a contract that states you can't work with competitors. We signed them on the same day. They seem to not figure that out. But I remember that moment. And I do think it's because of our differentiator that we created a brand and a product in agency space, which brought advertising and creative disciplines in with search. And I think that's our proposition, I think, is perfect.
I can confirm. I just Googled pink jeans. Amazon, Bee's company, maybe it's because that's Cologne in Italy, ASOS and Nordstrom.
Exactly. Zara spending mad money on this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I see it all the time. There was another company, they basically did this like fitness app and all this sort of stuff. And they was basically saying that whenever we do a certain piece of activity, what we're noticing, we're generating search demand and our competitors getting all the traffic. And I'm like, this is the thing, like influencer advertising, like brand marketing, they're just generating demand for something they're just not capturing. So I think it's time for us to think about, I think SEO also had a weakness. I think SEO captured traffic. I think SEO is like, what is it people searching for? Let's make sure we're at the top. But I think SEO lost sight of the driver. How do we get someone to want something in the first place? So essentially what we do is we create demand and we capture it. Simple. That's it. It's so simple. And I think, yeah, that's what made us win. I think that's what's made us grow in the last 4 years.
That unique insight came because you were sat in a lot of rooms, in a lot of pitches in the 4 or 5 years you're working in the agency.
Yeah. I remember I was obsessed. I was obsessed with how it all worked. And I remember the SEO team. I got along with the SEO team. Everyone else would just see them as like the geeks in the corner. And I'm going to say that because I'm an SEO myself. I love SEO. And I remember seeing them getting really excited one day. And I remember going over saying, why is it that you guys get really excited when it rains? Because it did. It rained outside. And I remember them getting really excited. And at the time, it was because we had Jet2 as a client. And they said, oh, didn't you know when it rains outside, searches for flights to Spain and flights to Portugal skyrocket? I went, no way. They said, yeah, consumer behavior. People want to go abroad when it rains in the UK. I remember thinking, wow. I was like, does anyone know that? Does anyone in the marketing team? They're like, no, we do that. And then obviously we do marketing and SEO all around it. But I'm like, if the board knows this, and this is the thing, I was like, SEO needs more of a voice around this table because I think consumer behavior, that's what it is consumer behavior. So yeah, so I think sitting with those people and asking questions, I think helped me really find something that I think was a massive gap in the market.
So did you always, because on the website right now, there's maybe in the services section about 10 different services listed. Did you always offer all of them or did you start off with just the SEO piece and the PR stuff?
I always planned to offer all of them, but I strategically launched them bit by bit. I think in reality at the time, budgets were kind of moved around. There was this peak and demand for PR and earned media, basically, so earned marketing. And I remember thinking there was no one really good at digital PR. There was no one. And the budgets were quite big. So the average SEO retainer at my old agency, you're looking at anywhere between 7 and 10K. So it's not cheap. This is expensive. Digital PR, quite similar, actually. It's about anywhere between 7 and maybe up to 15. Like we have clients paying 45K a month for digital PR. It's crazy. So I saw an opportunity for actually, what if I've learned about sales? What if digital PR is our land product and we use everything else as we call it land and expand. So they come in via digital PR, but then you expand it for the rest of your products. And what we do, we become famous. I needed something to become famous about because I think if you, as a business, if you go after everything, you're not great at one thing, then I think that you put yourselves at risk of not really people knowing what is it you would go to them for? Do you know what I mean? What is it that makes them famous? So basically, I spent my first 12 months being famous at one thing and then being famous at another thing and then another thing. And basically everyone buys everything now. So that's kind of like, it was strategic, get them to know about one thing and then expand it.
Very nice. Another thing that it seems like you guys have done really well is build an awesome culture. So it seems like you're attracting talent, engaging and keeping talent. Anything you can share about how you managed to do that?
It's interesting you say that because I'm very transparent as a person. I actually think we didn't do that very well. I think there's elements that we've done amazing and there's elements that we haven't done very well. And I'll tell you why. So the other day, we actually had an account director join the business and they was doing their interviews and they said they was really happy with everything. They were really excited to hopefully get the job, blah, blah. But they said, one question I want to ask before we go into this. They said, we have heard at Rise at 7 that because in the last 4 years of the super fast growth, you have high expectations. A few people have left the business in the last couple of years. It's maybe not got like the most amazing reputation, blah, blah, blah. Like, can I ask about that? And do you know what my response is? Everything is true. Everything you've seen written about us, that it was chaos, that it was hustle culture, that it was us, load of kids in the room figuring it out. Every single bit of it was true. because it was. I was a 25, 26-year-old kid. I had a dream, I had an idea, I had a very good product and proposition. I had no idea how to run a business. I knew how to run an agency because I'd figured it out. I'd ask questions about finance and project management, all that sort of stuff. But I feel like I'm going to have to spend the next few years figuring this shit out. So yeah, I think it took a long time to build the culture that is today. I do think we have an amazing culture today, but I've made a lot of mistakes to get there. I'm very lucky that I still have quite a solid team of around 5 people that was here in day one and that's still here today. And I think the best way that I did that is I shared the vision with them straight away. They know what I'm planning to do. They know my vision. They know where we're going. And I took them on the journey with me. And that does mean complete transparency. They see my good, my bad. They know when I'm going for a rough time at home. They know when I'm really enjoying life. I trust them. I empower them. And I think that's took a lot of energy and a lot of effort to kind of build those true friendships. You are building friendships in work. So I think, admittedly, I've had people that was with me at day one that aren't with me today. And I've had to fire friends. I've had to say goodbye to people I love. Truly, I remember sitting down one day and crying because I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to let you go. And it's not because like I didn't love them. It's not because I wasn't loyal or anything like that, but I needed to get to a new time now. You know, I've got the business to 5 mil now. I need to get to 10 mil. Got the business from 10 million to 20 million, whatever it is. And sometimes you've got to accept the people that got me here isn't going to get me there. So admittedly, I've had to make a lot of tough decisions for the business, removed my heart out of the company and said, this is for the business, it's not for me personally. And yeah, I think those tough decisions, but also finding those people that are going to be loyal till the end, I think has been a real learning journey for me. But I think that's what's built a really solid culture of people are on the journey with me. People feel like they're on the yacht with me. When I win, they win. When I lose, they kind of lose a little bit as well. So,
do you enjoy the marketing stuff more, like the actual delivery of the client work, or the business building stuff?
Oh, good question. The thing I enjoy the most is being out in the market and sniffing where it's going. So trying to find out what's going on with Google next, or what the next social media update, what's going on with TikTok, what about YouTube? Is Instagram going to start competing? That's where I work best. And that's the thing I enjoy, because what I love doing is kind of like steering ship. I have to see which way the wind is blowing, and I have to figure that out for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I ultimately go back into the business and I'll go, right, we need to change this, turn that way, whatever it is. I think that's the thing I love doing. I don't enjoy running the day-to-day operations. I don't. Like, it's an internal joke. If people come to me because they want a pay rise or they want to talk about their PDP, I'm like, hun, like, it's just not me. Like, I don't enjoy it. It stresses me out. I'm like, I have no idea what you earn. People have said to me about their salaries. I'm like, sorry, what you on? Like, I don't even know what you earn. Like, I don't get in the finer details of it. And I think that's okay to admit what you're bad at. And I get people to run that side. I have operations, I have finance people, I have commercial people. They're all running the day to day and allowing me, freeing me up to go and do the thing that I'm great at, which is steering the ship. So yeah, so I'm more on the market facing product side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they call it the visionary role.
Exactly. And that's what I've read books about this, the visionary and the integrator. I've never known what I am, but I've spent the last 4 years figuring that out. And that's definitely what I am. I'm not an integrator at all. I have a team that can do that for me. So
for sure. Now, I want to dig more into like your day-to-day.
Yeah, I do.
And the role the personal brand is playing in this. So first off, I saw a tweet last week about your upcoming travel schedule. And it's like Amsterdam, Mexico,
Crazy.
What are we doing in those places? And do we enjoy the travel?
90% of those things is conferences or me going to speak to clients. So I guess I'll kind of explain both of them. The first one of the conferences, I go to conferences, I speak on stage about what we do and my opinion on the market, what's going on with influencers, what about Google, TikTok, all that sort of stuff. And the reason I go do that is because I love teaching the market. I love putting my opinion out there, my knowledge, everything I know every single day. And then hopefully I'll get clients then to trust me and come back and work with me. So it's a marketing thing, definitely. But I believe in value exchange. If I give value on a stage in front of 5,000 people, then I'm going to get someone in the audience that says, I want to work with this girl because I believe what she believes in. So I do a lot of that. I would say I do at least 3 to 5 a month, which is quite a lot. A lot of them are UK or US based. So I currently split half and half in terms of where I live and work. But then I also on Monday, I'm in Berlin. On Wednesday, then I have to fly to Ireland. So I'm all over the place, but I go and speak at conferences. And then the second half of that is going and speaking to clients. ultimately I have people running clients. I don't run clients anymore. There's people that does the ideation, the strategy, the execution, all that sort of stuff. But what I do is I go in usually once a quarter or maybe even every 6 months, and I'll drop a bomb. I'll go in and I'll drop, here's a thought. I've been looking into something for you guys. You have this problem. I have a solution to it. What do you think? And I usually spend months building that up. And then hopefully it'll make the client think, yes, we've been seeing this ourselves. We want to go in that direction. And this is what we want to invest in, blah, blah. And then hopefully that sets the vision then for the team. So that's what I spend my time doing mostly.
That also must help you with your goal of deciding the direction, right? Because when you're at conferences, you're speaking to people. When you're at clients, you're listening to them as well. And it's like feeding back into that.
Oh, literally. Like one of the things that so funny, actually, I'll tell you a story. A year ago today, I'm always out in the market, sniffing out what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And I basically messaged my strategy director. At the time, he was actually freelance and I ended up getting him to work for me. But I messaged him, he's a friend of mine. And I said, I've got something. I said, I've got an opinion of where I think search is going, SEO industry is going. I said, I think Google's fucked. I said, I think this is what I think is going to happen. And I shared my opinion. I said, I think we're going to go into a creator economy. I think Google is going to start pulling create content into the SERP. I think TikTok is going to become a search engine. I think we're going to start seeing different features. Within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, TikTok they launched sites, search bar basically on TikTok. They then started doing keyword optimization. Google did an announcement. There was a press release saying that more people are searching on TikTok than Google. And I was like, I knew this, I saw this coming. And I only was able to do that because I was out in the market. And I do think a lot of business owners, they spend too much time in their business, doing the work, doing the things of, writing CVs and sorting pay rises. I think your time is wasted there. I think your time is out in the market. You need to go sniff out what's going on out there because then that's how you grow the company. So literally a year ago, I was like, this is where I think the industry is going. I'm going to launch a new team. I'm going to hire within it. I hired 5 people within like a couple of weeks and we won massive clients. Like one of the biggest travel brands globally, we've won them. We're doing big strategy projects for multi-channel search now as a result of it. I think if you type in TikTok SEO, we rank number 1. I've done a lot of work basically because I saw that's where the industry was going. And I can only do that by being out in the market. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Let's shift to the personal brand. You must be reaching millions of people every month through Twitter and LinkedIn and also YouTube. Was this always a conscious part of the marketing strategy for the company?
Massive. Yeah, massive part of it. I saw when I used to work at Branded 3, the founder and the CEO and the MD and all that sort of stuff, they built a very good brand around Branded 3. Have you ever heard of Branded 3, Tom?
Nope.
So Branded 3, years ago, they've sold now. So they've sold into a company called Edit. They don't really exist anymore, but they was the most famous SEO agency in Europe. They was literally famous. And luckily I got to work there. But they become famous because they had senior people in the company going and building their personal brands. Like Patrick Oltoft had more followers than Branded 3. I think he was the MD or something like that. Always the original founder. So you can see that personal brands had a massive impact on the company and that's how they scaled. So what I did, funny enough, is 6 months before I started Rise at 7, I was like, no, if I just say, hi, by the way, my name's Carrie and I've started an agency, I'll get 3 likes? Congrats, well done, good luck for the future. But if I spend 6 months before I launch, having an opinion, sharing what I know, getting an audience and a community of 20, 30,000 people, and then I say, do you know what? Fuck it, guys. I started my own agency. They'll be like, you're smart. Well done, blah, blah. So I spent 6 months building my personal brand. I got to around 15,000 people. So not massive, but 15,000 followers on Twitter, something like that. An engaged community of people that believed in what I believed in because I was sharing my opinions. I was sharing case studies and thoughts and ideas and insight. And then what those 15,000 people, when I shared my news, I immediately got likes, retweets, people wishing me well. I got leads. So one of the first brands that got in touch with me was Matalan. I won Halfords, I won Misguided. So these are brands that had obviously followed me in my opinion and thought, I want to work with you guys. So yeah, I think personal brand was my initial kind of launch plan. I want a community first. But then over the years, I knew it's a way for us to kind of, okay, well, if I tap into it, you've asked me whether I have launched new services and expanded services and things like that. It's a way for me to tap into kind of new audiences by constantly building my brand and voice into new areas, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a strategic thing. It works. I guess there is downfalls about building a personal brand, especially in a business. A lot of people feel like Rise at 7 is Carrie Rose is Rise at 7. How valuable is a business when if you strip me out? But I've been spending the last couple of years really building that. Like, I need to build a valuable business. And how do I do that with the rest of the team? So yeah, so I think there's loads in personal brand that's a benefit, but there is some negatives as well. Does that make sense?
How much time do you spend creating content? And is it just you or do you have other people on the team helping?
Both. Funny enough, I spend a lot of time creating content. I would say it's about 40% of my time I create content, so quite a lot. I think that's where I'm best spent because I think I consume and create. I think that's what is very valuable time for me. But I also do have a team of people that are researching, creating video content, creating social assets, whatever it is. Like anything you see on my Twitter and LinkedIn, it's usually me. Like it's my, you'll see, you can hear my voice when in my tweets, I think. You can see that it's my personality, my thought process. But I do have people then creating more the creative content, if that makes sense. So, I need an image or I need a video or can you visualize this? This is something that I've been thinking about. So yeah, I have a team internally that basically bring that to life.
Makes total sense. I typically ask at the end what is coming next, but it seems like from the whole discussion that you're just absolutely loving learning and being at the cutting edge of SEO, PR, etc., and then building the personal brand. Is there anything else that you're considering for the future or working on?
Ooh, so my vision for this business is to be the first search agency to win a Cannes Lion. Cannes Lion is the epitome of advertising. It's the award that people aim for when you work in advertising or creative. And obviously, I saw a massive flaw in advertising. I saw, well, actually, I think search first could be the way to do this. So I want to one day win a Cannes Lion. I don't know how far away I am from that, but I want to be able to collect my award and look completely different when I'm collecting it. I want people in the room to go, who are they? Like, they don't look like us. And it's like, we're a search agency. Have you not heard of us? Oh, well, we're doing this amazing stuff over here. So like, that's my vision. And to get there, I think there's a lot of exciting things we can do. I want to run a TV advert that generates search demand. I've done that before. We actually ran a TV advert for one of our clients. At the end of the TV advert, it said search and the brand. And searches for the brand went up 111%. So I want to start bringing different channels into search and SEO. We don't just write copy and optimize websites and build links. That's not just what we do anymore. We're looking at big, wide creative channels. So that's my next few years, is really tapping into that space, stealing budgets from that space and doing some exciting things.
Carrie, I mean, it's been an amazing journey. I've really enjoyed following. I also want to thank you for just being so completely congruent, completely open and transparent.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm talking to a corporate CM. I feel like I'm talking to Carrie Rose. So thanks for that. We're going to link to obviously Rise at 7, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, the YouTube. Anything else we should link to or mention?
No. Just follow me on social media and I'm pretty sure, hopefully you'll take some away and learn from it.
All right, team, what do we think about that? Carrie, super interesting. Carrie has a very different way of running, or a very different way of being the CEO than me. She's at these events all the time. I'm not saying I'm the same level as Carrie, but my approach to this is to not really leave the house or not really leave the office. And so maybe think a lot about the role of the CEO and whether they should be out there speaking and engaging and learning from the market, which is something that I could definitely do better. So Carrie, thank you so much for joining and being so transparent and sharing so much about the business. Thanks to Fame for producing this show, fame.so. And of course, thanks to you for listening.